It's time for Victoria's Gluten-Free GastroGab, the information source for your gluten-free lifestyle. Today it's all about Thanksgiving as Victoria talks with Jennifer Love Walter, owner of Aime's Love Bakery and Cafe in Longmont, Colorado. And now here's your host, Victoria Wolf.
Thank goodness you're here. It's almost Thanksgiving and you need to know how to make a pumpkin pie. And I am joined today with my guest, Jennifer Love Walter with Aime Love Bakery and Cafe. I said it right, I did it, we're on a roll. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, we're so excited. See, normally what we do is the guest tells me what their favorite food is and I make a pizza on the show. There's not going to be any pizza being made. We're going to eat some stuffing and we're going to talk a lot about pumpkin pie. Because at Thanksgiving, for the gluten-free, pumpkin pie and stuffing are the two things, especially if you're newly diagnosed or newly gluten-free, you're like, oh, what do I do? I have to have pumpkin pie, I have to have stuffing, but it's all full of gluten, so what do I do? So that's where we're going to answer that question. I mean, sure, you can go and buy, well, no, you really can't go and buy a pumpkin pie anywhere other than a custom bakery like yours, correct?
A good gluten-free one, correct.
I don't know if I've ever seen one anywhere. No, I think Katz has one, right? That's like the only pumpkin pie I've ever seen pre-made in the frozen case. I don't believe I've seen it, unless you go to a bakery like yours or some other custom bakery. So knowing how to make a pumpkin pie on your own is important. And, you know, pumpkin pie isn't just for Thanksgiving. It's so delicious, you can have it any time of year. You just got to know how to make a pie crust. That's the most important thing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about stuffing. We're going to talk about dairy-free pumpkin pie because you brought one of those because I'm dairy-free. And the difference between a regular gluten-free pumpkin pie and a dairy-free pumpkin pie. And it's not a vegan, or yours is yours vegan because you're using
No, we did not do this one vegan,
Okay,
but
that's
we
fine.
can make them vegan friendly.
Because I'm not vegan, I don't need vegan, so that's good, because there's egg in it, correct? Okay, and you have to replace that. Well, we'll talk about that. The first thing I want to do is, let's talk stuffing, because we're going to eat that first. I'm going to serve up some stuffing, and then we're going to talk about why stuffing is the best part of Thanksgiving ever. At least for me it is. So this stuffing has sausage in it, which makes it even better, I think. This is a family recipe. I've kind of adapted a little bit. The original family recipe, oh, we need forks too, had cornbread in it too. And I never really liked that texture. Do you like cornbread in your stuffing? Or you
Not in my stuffing.
No,
I do like cornbread, but not in my stuffing.
right.
It's a little bit grittier, so it changes the
Exactly.
texture.
Exactly, that's what I thought. So my mom's recipe is her mom's and her mom's and her mom's kind of situation. And we always made it with cornbread. Back when I could do gluten, I was a vegetarian. So really the only, and I think this is where my love of stuffing comes from too.
Because it has sausage.
Well, yeah, that too. But that's all I could eat at Thanksgiving was I couldn't eat obviously the turkey or so many other things. So I concentrated on the stuffing, the pumpkin pie, the cranberry, the veggies and stuff. Here you go, Rich.
Understood.
And so, I don't know, I've loved stuffing since I was a kid. I am not embarrassed to say that I had a love affair with stovetop for many years when I didn't have a lot of money when I was younger and wanted stuffing. I can say now that stovetop stuffing isn't really stuffing.
No.
I have a palate now, so I understand.
Yes.
Okay, so this stuffing is made with our herb stuffing cubes, which is a combination of our sandwich bread and our baguettes, and it's pre-herbed. So we mix the herbs into the dough before we bake the breads, and then when we cut everything up into cubes and then bag it. And so this recipe is on the website and it'll also be on the podcast page. It's really simple. You take the stuffing cubes, you add celery, onions, butter in quotes because I use Earth Balance, and chicken stock and sausage, and put it in the oven and bake it, and there you go. You're all done.
This is delicious.
Thank you. Most people, when we sample at like Natural Groceries at demos and we get the non-gluten free, they have no idea that it's gluten free. We love to hear that.
That's the mission.
Yes, it is. It's
Yep.
always the mission. And you can talk with your mouth full on the show. We allow it.
Okay, perfect. Because I can't stop. This is delicious.
I love the herbs that I put in this. It really kind of brings out all the other flavors. When I could eat gluten, I would buy Pepperidge Farm had those little, the little herb cubes in bags. They were dried and hard as rock. You could get the herbed and not herbed. I'd always bought the herb because it's like, I don't want to put my own herbs in here. But then I think I always ended up having to put more because there wasn't enough. So my goal when I made this was to make it so herby that you don't have to put, because you can really mess up a stuffing if you put too much of one herb or another. So
Very true.
take that out of people's hands. So.
Yes.
So how long have you been gluten-free, and when did you start your bakery? Tell us where it all began.
It all began because over a decade ago, I was suffering from really bad headaches. And I went to the traditional doctor, and he could not figure out what was going on. I had an MRI. Everything came back looking just fine. But they just wanted me to live on meds. And that's not my philosophy in life.
No.
So at that point, since the doctor did not have any idea what else to do, I went to an acupuncturist. And after 3 visits with her, she noticed my symptoms went away and they came back. So she thought I had some food allergies. So she did some muscle testing and it came back dairy.
Oh.
At that point, I'm a single mother and my children were very little and I had just finished grad school. And I was drinking one too many lattes.
Oh.
And so I was getting really bad headaches. And it was literally a splitting headache right down the middle of my brain, right along the gallbladder meridian.
Oh, wow.
And so I quit dairy. And within 3 days, the headaches went away. And they
Oh my
never came
goodness,
back.
that's dramatic.
Yes. So now I can slowly
But you can't
It
eat
isn't.
just all out whatever you want dairy.
Nope,
Okay,
no,
I didn't know you were
like-
dairy free. Okay.
Well, I do, like almond milk for all of that type of stuff. And I can, like I said, I'll do regular cheese because it doesn't affect my stomach. It was just the headaches and it was excessive. So anyhow, I quit the dairy and the headaches went away. So then I was like, man, you know what? She also told me I'm like sensitive to this thing called gluten. And I should, she was spot on with the dairy. So
She's probably right
I
about
should
that,
probably
yeah.
try this. So, knowing that when you want to go gluten-free, or figure out what is causing the issue, you have to cleanse your system. So you have to avoid all of the different allergens for at least a solid month. So about 4 weeks, 6 weeks into being 100% gluten-free, all of a sudden I was just like, this is how I'm supposed to feel.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is amazing. Like I didn't have, it wasn't landing me in the hospital, but so many different ways that it affected me that I was just like, oh, this is amazing. And I am fortunate that I was told that over a decade ago. It was in 2006.
That's 10 years you got a good quality of life that you wouldn't have had.
Exactly. So that is then, partially what spurred when I decided I wanted to open a business. I wanted everything to be gluten-free because I have experimented with so many different things on the market.
And 10 years ago, they weren't very good.
They were not that good, and
No.
it is getting so much better these days,
Oh, yeah.
and
Every
it's
year
so
it gets
nice.
better.
Like this, your stuffing too. I mean, like the texture of the bread is spot on. It makes it a perfect stuffing.
Thank you.
You couldn't have gotten that with any of the gluten-free breads on the market
No.
that long ago. Even some of them that are still on the market
there's
today.
Yeah, not everything is really good on
No.
the market, but at least there's some that are. So were you a major baker, or did you never bake? You never baked?
No, honestly,
Oh, we never baked either.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so I love that.
I have a master's degree in counseling and human services, and I
Which
worked
has nothing to do with baking.
nothing at all. And I worked in adolescent day treatment centers for a number of years, and then
Nothing to do with baking.
nope, but just went through some personal things. My ex-husband, mentioned I'm a single mom. My ex-husband passed away, and it was just like, you know what? I need a change of scenery. I need to take care of myself for my children as
Right.
well, and our mental health is just as important.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I stepped away for a while and reevaluated, what do I want to do? And I was like, you know what? I really want other people who have to eat gluten-free to bite into it and just be like, this is what I've been missing.
What I
Like I
remember.
can't
Yep.
even tell this is gluten-free.
Gluten-free.
Our GF just means good.
Good
food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just anybody can come in and enjoy. So we started off with a lot of desserts because we do specialty cakes and wedding cakes and cakes for all occasions.
I've seen your cakes on Facebook and they're so amazing. So do you do those or do you have?
Morgan does. And then we have some other cake decorators as well.
Just for never having baked before, it's just, I look at them and go, oh my God, that's so cool. It's so beautiful. And
Teamwork, a
that's
lot
hard
of
to find,
teamwork
yeah.
and a lot of cross training and working with each other. And
well, you do a fabulous job and they're so unique and original and I would think that that's difficult to get accustomed. And we're not talking just a cake. We're talking decorated beautifully cakes of different themes and everything. And I would think that I don't think there's too many places you can get those. Not
gluten-free,
right.
going all out as long as the laws of physics allow
Wow.
it. We will decorate it and create it. And as you know, as large as your budget is willing to.
I can only imagine.
Yeah,
They
time.
must be very expensive.
There are some that take a lot of time.
Yeah,
So.
but it's worth it because if you can't, if you're gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever, you can't have a normal cake, obviously. So whatever the cost, if it's delicious and makes you feel good and meets the your occasion, it takes care of it, then it doesn't matter to some degree.
Yeah. Well, and then gluten-free, the is just good food, and everyone at the wedding can eat the whole
Right.
cake.
I mean, it's not like you're having two cakes. So I have the gluten-free cake so I can eat, and then a cake for everybody else because it's so good. Nobody's ever going to say, "Oh, I got the gluten-free cake," and that
No,
wasn't
they'll just
good.
say, "Oh, where'd you get this cake? It's so good."
I love when that happens. I'm sure you do
Right?
too. Yes.
It's
That's-
really nice. We've been invited to some of the weddings too, so when you get to
Oh.
hear that and just
Oh,
kind of
that's
sit there and
wonderful.
mum's a word, it's really fun.
Oh,
So.
that's wonderful. So when did you start the bakery?
We opened in 2014.
Okay,
in
so you're
October.
still only 5 years.
5 years.
Wow.
Yes.
I know when we just first started back in 2015, so right around the same time, we were at demos and your name kept coming up, and I kept hearing it. It's like this, this bakery in Longmont. Then it wasn't. Nobody really said the name. I think every once in a while they did call it Aime's.
Of course.
And that's fine. And so I heard about it, and then just this year you were 2 booths down from us at the Nourish Fest, and I'm like, finally, I get to connect. And I never driven up to Longmont to meet you. I probably should have, but it was long. But
Well,
you
I'm
drove
glad
all the
we
way down
met
here.
now.
Yeah.
For
So,
sure. So
yes.
cheers to that.
Cheers. And by the way, I need to mention we are pairing our stuffing and soon-to-be pumpkin pie with Holidaily Riva Stout, which stout sounds very scary to most people. I know it did to me. I never drank anything dark in relation to beer. Before I went gluten-free, I really didn't like beer. But the first time I tried this, I fell in love with it. It's my favorite of all that they do, the dark beer, if you imagine that. It blows me away that I like it so much.
I can echo that. Never really liked beer, especially the dark beers, but this is enjoyable.
It is so good. It's such great flavor. I can't wait to see how it's going to pair with the pumpkin pie. So I always like to say it's not Thanksgiving without stuffing because that's what I sell. But if I sold pie, I'd say it's not Thanksgiving without pumpkin pie either. And I know in my experience of making pumpkin pie, the first few years I was gluten-free and I never baked. And this was prior to meeting Rich that I had how many? 5 Thanksgivings before I met Rich that I was still gluten-free. And so those years I usually went and bought, I think the very first shell that I bought was from Whole Foods. Whole Foods had stuffing cubes and pie shells back in like 2008 and 9 and 10, and it was the only place I could get them. And so that's pretty easy. You buy a shell, you put the thing in. And I think a couple of those years was before I was actually dairy-free, so then it was really cut and dried. There's a recipe on the can of pumpkin, you just do it and it comes out pretty, it was okay, it wasn't bad. And then when I started baking, the pizza crust and everything, I was a little bit more adventurous. And so I got an actual pie mix, a Bob's Red Mill pie mix, and I would make my crust that way. But it was still a mix. I never did my own blend because I don't do sweet stuff. So, and I think that I would love to learn how to do that someday, but not like I have tons of time. But it's good for people to know what options they have. I don't believe that some of the pie shells you buy at the stores right now are very good. And so yours obviously is going to be 10 times better. Oh, and by the way, the peanut butter cookies that you always bring are the best things ever.
Good.
And I don't even like peanut butter cookies. But
I'm telling you, they're the only ones I've ever eaten all the way through.
They are so good. And that's the way a peanut butter, and it's crazy. You have to go with a dairy and gluten-free, well, peanut butter cookies are mostly gluten-free, but still a dairy-free peanut butter cookie, and it's the best peanut butter cookie variation I've ever had. So I love it. But
thank you.
Everything you make. And Rich is fortunate enough to be able to eat your cinnamon rolls because they have dairy in them. And
Your cinnamon rolls are fabulous.
Oh, thank
Absolutely
you.
fabulous. Yes, they're wonderful. So let's talk pumpkin pie.
Okay.
Grab some pumpkin pie. It's time for dessert already. Okay, I'm gonna bring these over here.
Seriously, this is amazing.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
I didn't used to not like stuffing much because it always made me feel bad.
Well, yeah,
And
bloated
stovetop, and now I'm
gross
like, I get to enjoy it.
yeah, and it's one of those things you can't. I mean, yeah, you can have Thanksgiving without it, but it's like with the turkey. It's like Thanksgiving is turkey and stuffing, and so it was really important for us. It was one of my main goals. Okay, so we saying this, Rich, the two pies? Okay. So in case you're wondering, one of them is dairy-free and one of them isn't. And so you're looking at it, you might guess, is it this one or is it this one? I know which one it is because I've made a dairy-free pumpkin pie and it comes out a little bit darker. So this is the dairy-free pumpkin pie. So we're going to cut some pie. Do you want a dairy-free or a dairy piece?
I want a little bit of both, please.
Oh, you want to compare, and you can yes, because you can do a little bit. I might do a little smidgen of. Before I cut this, because they're so beautiful, we've got to talk about how you do this because how do you do this crust so wonderfully? I mean, I've worked with pie crust and it was not pretty, and there was no way I could do this. So
Simple trick, knuckles and fingers. If you pinch your fingers together like this and use your knuckle, and of course have gloves on,
yeah.
you just push it in to the finger like this and go boop.
You're knuckling from, those are your knuckles right there. Yep, like that.
Yeah.
And you pinch.
Push it on the other side so it's just like that. And you just boom, boom, boom. You just walk down and pinch it.
Okay, and obviously your dough has enough rigidity to it that it's going to stand up like this.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, most of the time when I use the Bob's Red Mill, you kind of almost have to go over the lip so that it actually stays up. But that's Bob's, and I can't say I did it.
No, ours gets real. It's a really solid dough.
Okay, well that makes sense. But this is
Roll it out. We use a sheeter, so it works through the sheeter machine.
Sheeter? Okay, so
We could use a rolling pin, but when we're doing a lot of pies at once.
Most people don't know what a sheeter is. We're talking industry lingo now.
Yes, we are. So a sheeter is it's like two big rolling pins, and it's an electronic machine. You drop the dough in, and it nicely rolls it out for you in a nice big sheet.
Okay, so this wasn't pretty what I did there, but there's one piece. So the sheeter, your dough, I don't use a sheeter in my business. Is the dough's not too sticky for the sheeter?
You do have to use some extra flour on the outside just to help make it. Yep, it sure does. But we make our dough and then we refrigerate it overnight.
Oh, so you're working, yeah, with its pie crust, you do have to work. I do know that about pie crust. You got to work with very, very cold dough.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why we can either offer it rolled out in the pie shell as a big ball of dough if you want to go and put it in your own pan at home
make
it and be like, look what I made. You have to account whether or not you need a top or a bottom. So we can only provide it rolled out if it's a bottom only.
Right, that makes sense.
And then we
say in the tin.
In the tin,
okay.
Correct.
Just to be clear, because some people might think you have a flat piece of dough that they're then going to have to put in their pan.
No, so it is all rolled out in the pan. And we also do our traditional pie crust. We can do it dairy free, but we also do a graham cracker pie crust.
Ooh.
And we do a milk dunker pie crust.
What's
so it's like our version of the Oreo cookie.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to do like a mud pie, you can do the cookie crumb crust.
Okay. I am not a sweets eater, so some of these things you're going to say, and I'm going to be like, what is that? And then you can just tell she doesn't eat
But
sweet.
maybe somebody listening is like,
They will.
yum.
Somebody's gonna know, and that somebody is not me, but somebody else will. So.
I look forward to meeting you.
So okay. So I'm gonna try. Oh, we need forks. That would be nice. I'm gonna try a little bit of the dairy pizza just so I can tell the difference. I think I'll be fine. Usually just a smidgen of dairy, and I'm okay. Do you want some cashew ice cream to go on yours?
Oh, I am curious to try it.
This is the.
I haven't tried cashew.
Is that enough?
Perfect, yes.
Okay, this is the very vanilla. It's my favorite of the So Delicious cashew milk ice creams. To me, it tastes the closest to the taste and texture to ice cream. It's not really ice cream, it's just frozen dessert. Because I don't think they can say ice cream. Okay, I'm going to try without the ice cream first. Okay, this is,
And I'm trying to see if I can tell a difference.
okay, that is the dairy one. And this is the non-dairy. I can tell a little bit of a difference, but not a lot. And it's not a bad difference, it's just different. It's not different in a bad way, just
I
different.
mean, it's coconut sweetened condensed milk versus sweetened condensed
cow
milk.
condensed, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think it has a,
And that's honestly the only modification in the entire recipe is the sweetened condensed milk.
well, you're not using butter though, right? You're using Earth Balance?
Not in the, there is in the pie filling.
No, but in the crust.
Oh, in the crust, it's either butter or it is earth balance.
Earth Balance, okay.
Correct.
So that, I mean, and really that's what makes making pumpkin pie dairy free is not a huge endeavor like some other sweets would be, because Earth Balance I find actually works pretty well baking. Sometimes depending on what you're using for it, but I've baked a few things, not a lot of sweet stuff, but it's performed as well as I thought it might.
Earth balance does seem to work very well. Absolutely. 1-to-1 ratio, just perfect.
Yeah, I use it on, we use that for our dairy-free garlic bread, and yeah, I never thought about having to adjust it. I just use it like butter, you know.
But when we make different things in-house, like some of the cakes dairy-free, instead of using butter, we use applesauce.
Oh,
Instead of more earth balance in that end. So there's certain things for dairy you can do applesauce, well, for the butter. And then a lot of times when it calls for milk, we replace it with coconut milk.
you choose coconut milk over like a almond, soy, or what's the other, cashew? Is there a reason?
Yes, because soy tends to react with more people. We
Right.
hear that, please, soy free, and it affects me. It affects my joint, so I don't use soy milk very often. Almond milk is a nut, and
Right.
you increase it limiting enough people with dairy, with a nut allergy.
Right.
And then, and coconut just tends to work the best, and cashew is another nut, so it just kind of works the best with everyone's allergens, and it's limits how many different modifications we do, because we cater to dairy, vegan, corn, sugar. I'm sure there's another one that I'm missing, but we can cater to a lot
Soy.
of different allergens. Yep, soy.
What was my question? I'm sorry, this pumpkin pie is so delicious. I'm losing my mind. So what you're saying is the coconut milk, you choose that because you want to cater to more people, not because it has a performance difference. So if somebody didn't have a problem with either soy or nuts, they could use that milk instead of a coconut milk in baking.
They could, but it has a fattier content.
Okay, so it's
it
going to
does
be
kind
more
of
like
help.
milk.
Yeah.
Milk. Have you ever used any of the lactose-free milks in baking to make it? And I don't personally think that really makes anything dairy-free. I haven't tried them because it kind of scares me a little bit. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, honestly, no, we have not tried any lactose-free baking.
I'm curious that might work. One never knows, but I know they're out there, and people ask me all the time when I tell them I'm dairy-free. They're like, "Oh, do you do the lactate and everything?" And I'm like, "No."
Okay, so I'm going to be perfectly honest. At home, when my mom's been in town, she always uses the lactose-free milk. So if it's been in the fridge, I have used it before, and it does seem to work.
Oh,
just
so
fine.
it hasn't bothered
Like, but at home,
Right.
so
But in
in the commercial
not in a
kitchen.
commercial setting. That would be scary because you don't know how it's going to perform. And
Yeah.
I guess you could test it, but even then, coconut milk seems like such a better option. Yeah, I don't like milk anyways. Even if I could drink it, I wouldn't drink milk. But people always say that to me, so I
But
just
you
say
know
it
what? I have found gluten-free and dairy-free, they really tend to go hand in hand. Once you're
do.
told you're gluten-free, it's like just the whole can of worms just opens up.
Mine took a couple years. I was feeling good, everything was wonderful, and then I started feeling bad again. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's the dairy. And so I cut out the dairy, and I was perfectly fine. So, yeah, my dairy and gluten. I can do soy, thank goodness. All my products have soy in it, so that's a good thing that I can do soy. If I couldn't do soy, my products wouldn't have it. But
Yep.
this is really, really amazing. So let's talk about what the thing that I think confounds most gluten-free bakers and myself when I started this was the flours. And the
Correct.
flour mix and what works and what doesn't and what's the ratio. And through all my experimenting for my products, I figured it out for my products, for yeast risen savory products. But
Yes.
for sweets, I have no idea. So these two pie crusts, same flour mix, right?
Correct.
Okay.
This
so
pie crust.
what do you use and why?
For the pie crust, okay, well, to start in-house, we have 15 different mixes, and we buy in about 18 different flours.
Okay.
Depending on what we are making, everything requires a different consistency.
So you're not the cup for cup. You don't believe in that. I don't.
Oh no, there's no all-purpose
Right, no
gluten-free
all-purpose
baking
gluten-free.
flour.
Right.
I'm sorry to say, it just
There's
doesn't
some people who
exist.
believe there is. In my experience, that's not necessarily the case, especially in the little bit that I have baked, and especially on the pizza and bread side. Definitely not that. No, you can't go get what Bob's makes an all-purpose. Thomas Keller makes the cup for cup, which says it's a pure replacement. No, not my experience.
No, depends on what you're making. You
Yeah.
want something that works a little differently. And so you need to do a little mix. You have to do some of your heavier weight flours and some of your lighter weight flours and some starches. Got to
Right.
do a little blend. So we buy in brown rice, white rice, sweet white rice, sorghum, garbanzo. And so those are some of your lighter ones. Along with then the starches are your lightest, the potato, tapioca, and cornstarch. And then we bring in the garbanzo fava, the sorghum, the millet, quinoa, flaxseed, amaranth. A lot of those, especially the amaranth and the quinoas, like you really need those, and the millets for your flour and for your breads. That's what we use in most of those. And then some of the sorghum garbanzo, the garbanzo fava, the sorghum, you need those to do a lot of the cakes. And they blend in really well, but they cross-reference. And it's finding just the right ratio of some heavyweight, middleweight flours and some lightweight
Right,
flours.
it's all about percentages.
In the pie crust, we use some brown rice. It's 1 part brown rice, 1 part garbanzo fava, 1 part sorghum, and then half part tapioca.
Yeah, tapioca gives it the lightness. I look at it like the flours give it the weight and give it the stability, and then the starches give it the lightness and the airiness. And it's all that ratio between the two, depending on how light and airy or how dense that you are.
And whether or not you want to be using your yeasts or not, and depending on,
Right.
because then there's other things that we use, like adding in the psyllium husks and your xanthan gum to
Right.
mix in and match with that. And our pie crust does use some of those as well.
Because those are, the gluten protein is one thing. That's it. And so I always like to tell people we have like 8 or 9 ingredients to replace one little protein. And it is
Yes.
the trio, or however many flours. That's just one. And then you like the psyllium husks and the xanthan, and in our case we use soy milk powder, and we use gelatin and egg whites, and all those things have to be, because like for pizza, conventional pizza is pretty much yeast, flour, and water.
Yep.
I mean, I got like eight ingredients to replicate. but that's what gluten-free baking is, and I think that's what scares a lot of people. I know it scared me when Rich, when we got together and he tried all the gluten-free pizzas that are out there, and he said, these are all horrible. I said, yes, that's my life. He said, let's make our own. And I'm like, no. I have avoided the 5 million flours that are involved in gluten-free baking for, 6 years now, and I don't want to go there. And obviously, he convinced me. But it was scary. It's like you don't even know. Well, I was never a baker before, so I didn't know where to start. And I can imagine people that want to try to make their own at home. It's just, it's very, very difficult. So we're going to take a little break here, and we come back. We're going to either eat more pie or more stuffing, whatever we're hungry for.
Victoria's gluten-free Gastro Gab will return after a word from our sponsors and partners. Victoria's gluten-free Gastro Gab is brought to you by Victoria's Gluten-Free Kitchen, makers of award-winning pizza crust, breads, buns, ready-to-bake pizzas, and garlic breads, sold in retailers and served in fine restaurants all along the Front Range. Visit our website at victoriasglutenfreekitchen.com to find a retailer or restaurant partner near you, or to order our products online. Victoria's Gluten-Free Kitchen, free of gluten, intolerant of average. Nothing goes better with pizza than beer, and Victoria's Gluten-Free Gastro Gab proudly serves beers provided by Colorado's only dedicated gluten-free brewer, Holidaily Brewing. Visit their tap house in Golden, or find a retailer or restaurant near you by visiting their website, holidailybrewing.com. The right knife does make a difference. All demonstrations and product preparation for Victoria's Gluten-Free Gastro Gab is done with knives provided by Element Knife Company. Find the right knife for you by visiting elementknife.com. Victoria's gluten-free kitchen products are made with only the finest of ingredients, including locally made Colorado Mills sunflower oil, delivered directly to our kitchen by Healthy Harvest. Check them both out at comills.com and healthyharvestnongmo.com. And now let's return for more of Victoria's gluten-free Gastro Gab.
Welcome back. We've stuffed our face with more stuffing while we were gone. And now we're talking pumpkin pie. We're going to keep talking pumpkin pie and other delicious goodies. What is your absolute favorite thing that you make? Hands down.
Chocolate chip cookie.
Okay. Why is it always been one of your favorites, chocolate chip, your favorite cookie?
No, just the sweetness balance, and I love chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. But if I'm going for a sweet, hands down, it is the chocolate chip cookie. If I'm wanting a meal, though, because we do more than just gluten-free sweets. We do breakfast sandwiches, crepes, quiches.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, we do all sorts of goodies. Bagels, muffins, and then we do 5 flavors of cinnamon rolls. We do the traditional, the smutter, that is a Nutella and marshmallow. Oh. We do a raspberry cream cheese. We do a pecan raisin, and then we do a maple bacon. And we sell them all ready and glazed and baked off in-house, or you can even come buy them as frozen 4-packs and take and bakes. So you can have them for any holidays, or just because it's
breakfast.
Sunday morning, you know,
or breakfast.
Tuesday morning, yes. And you can even take one out at a time and bake them.
Do you make breakfast burritos or something? Do you make quiches?
No burritos, but we do quiches. We do 4 flavors of quiches, and you can also buy them.
Buy those and freeze them.
Individual and large, but in-house, to just come and sit down, you need to come and sit and have an individual size. Okay. And we do 4 different flavors. And then we do about 8 different muffin flavors, 8 different bagel flavors, 5 different breakfast sandwiches, 5 different crepes.
Oh, breakfast sandwiches. Wow. Okay, so you
my
obviously
favorite
open for
is,
breakfast. Then.
And the breakfast sandwich that is my all-time favorite is the Love. And that has a curry sauce that is a homemade custom blend with vegetables and
that sounds amazing. Oh my goodness. So do you use the sandwich bread, or do you have like a bagel that you put it on for the sandwich?
So for our breakfast sandwiches, it comes on our sandwich bread, but you can substitute for an additional charge bagel.
Oh, okay. So you've got options. I like that. So you open for breakfast. Are you a breakfast lunch place, or are you open further later in the day?
Just for lunch.
Okay.
And then and we do breakfast panini sandwiches. I'm sorry. Lunch panini sandwiches.
Breakfast panini sandwich
yes,
sounds
let me
good
rephrase
too.
this.
No, that sounds really good.
And we do 11 different lunch paninis.
Oh
and then we also do chicken pot pies. And we do individual sized chicken pot pies and large family sized chicken pot pies that, again, you can take and bake. And our chicken pot pies, they are dairy free.
I was just going to ask that because generally they're not.
They are.
Okay. You know, obviously you've been to our kitchen is in Thornton. That is not very far from Longmont.
No.
So where
And you
where
can-
in Longmont are you? North, south, east, west?
Right flat dab in the middle on
In the
Main Street at
Okay.
331 Main Street in Longmont.
Okay,
On the
Rich,
west side of the street.
the next time you have to go up there and deliver something to somebody, I want a pot pie.
Okay, you
I
got
have
it.
not had pot pie in 30 years. One, because when I could eat it, I was a vegetarian. And then I went gluten free. I ate meat, but I couldn't eat, so yeah, 30
You're
years. I
in
haven't
for
had
a
pot pie.
treat.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I get the big one. Just don't even
Yeah.
mess with the small one. Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. How early are you open Monday through
We are
Sunday?
open Tuesday through Saturday,
Tuesday through
6:30 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So more traditional bakery hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you get there at 3 in the morning.
I wake up at 3:30 every morning and we're in at 4:30 every morning.
Oh my goodness. I get up at 5 every morning and I thought that was early. Boy, I sleep in every day. But then again, I work till like 6 at night, but still I'm sure it all evens out. But that's early. I remember, I'm going to date myself here. Back in the 70s, there were these Dunkin' Donuts commercials where this guy, this older guy, he'd be in his pajamas and he'd be shuffling out of bed down the hall. It's like, I gotta go make the donuts. I gotta go make the donuts. You probably don't remember that because you're not. Do you remember that?
I do actually.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep.
And it was so cute. And it was like 3 in the morning or whatever. And so anytime we have ever had to go in like extra early and I'm like, oh, we got to go make the donuts. Funny thing is we have a Dunkin' Donuts proofer. We used to be in Dunkin' Donuts. It's been refurbished and everything. Because I think what happened is I've seen all these proofers out in the market and they're all from Dunkin' Donuts. So I guess they don't proof their stuff in their stores anymore. And so all these proofers flooded the market. And it's like, yeah, got to go make the donuts, even though I don't make any. Do you make donuts?
We do a Daddy's unfried donut. So it's not a traditional circular donut that, like what you would think, and we don't deep fry it. It's in a muffin top form and it's wrapped in cinnamon and sugar. And it has a hint of nutmeg in it and it is absolutely delicious.
That sounds good. The one thing I don't miss a lot of sweets. I mean, occasionally I'll have it, it's nice. But apple fritters. And I know you say you don't fry anything, so I know you don't have an apple fritter. I need to find a gluten-free apple fritter because that was my favorite thing. Like my son doesn't have to be gluten-free, so I'll let him get those at King Soopers and I'll say just
Don't
describe.
eat it in front of me.
Yeah, well, no, describe what it tastes like. Let me live through you vicariously. But I used to love apple fritters. I may have to try to make one. No, I'm not going to try to make an apple fritter. I don't do sweet stuff. I do savory stuff. So
Just do a little miniature dairy-free apple pie from Aime's Love, and you'll
you
get
have one of those too, Rich?
The list is getting long.
The list is getting longer. Apple pie was my favorite too.
We'll place an order.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of placing orders, let's talk about how people can get a pumpkin pie or any pie of any of your products. So we have 3 weeks before Thanksgiving.
yes.
So preferably you would like people to call and reserve their pie, correct?
Correct.
Or
I would like
email.
for them to either call us or email us, and we do 40 different. Well, no, I'm sorry. We do about 11 different pies. All of them are on our website. They range from either $19.95, that would be our pumpkin pie, or all the way up to about $40, and that would be one of like our chocolate pecan pies. And then in our pecan pie, we don't mess around with the pecans. There's a good number of pecans. And we can do all of the traditionals. Most of them we can do dairy-free. We can also do them all clearly gluten-free. And most of them dairy-free and some of them vegan.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's
but
good that you
please
can-
give us a call or email us, and we would like all orders in by at least the Saturday, November 23rd, right before the holidays. And we are open, our traditional hours, the day before Thanksgiving.
And then you're going to take like 2 weeks off to survive?
Actually, we only take off that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then we open back up our
Yeah, you need
traditional
that rest
hours
period.
because there's a few times at this time of year where we really, for about 72 hours, we really don't sleep because of those pie orders. And that's why we've started to have to be a little more strict of please get your order in, because now we've been fortunately filling up that we have to stop taking them. Otherwise, we can't guarantee everyone gets a nice fresh pie, and that's what we all want.
Right. Well, you got to have rules so everybody can partake.
Yep.
So they have to drive to Longmont. That's the only downside, if there is a downside here, because
Correct.
you're not sold in any stores at the moment, correct?
Not in any grocery stores. We have a couple of different coffee shops that sell some of our goodies.
And up in Longmont? Or
Up in Longmont and Boulder and Loveland. And then we are looking to get some of these items into the grocery stores. So anyone who doesn't want to drive all the way up to Longmont and has some connections down south, you can always speak to me.
I just had this idea. When you make a pie and they're not frozen, they're fresh, right?
Well, it depends. How do you want them? I do have in shop. We rotate through a variety of flavors. So it's not all of the pie flavors that are on hand, but usually I have about 2 to 3 different pie flavors that are frozen, take and bake. So if you could not plan ahead, you can come in and grab a pie. But most of them, when you order them, we require 48 hours for all orders, for whether it's traditional pie orders or if it's specialty cake orders or anything special outside of our normal menu to come in and just take and grab. 48 hours. And then we make them fresh for you. And then we ask how you want us to present them, because not everybody wants them baked off because they want to bake it fresh.
Right.
So they'll ask us, if they order it, do you want us to refrigerate it or do you want us to freeze it because of how you're going to travel with it?
That's really amazing. You have all these options. It's not like, okay, we're giving you a baked pie and that's all you get. So
That's why it's hard to do some of the online ordering, because we like to custom make it, because
Right.
with gluten-free, not everything has a very long shelf life.
No
It
preservatives.
really changes it, exactly. And so that's why we want to talk to you. When are you going to eat it? How are we going to make sure it's going to be the freshest for you, so that when you dive into it,
it's amazing.
you
It's
talk
at
with
its
sound
best.
effects.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I guess if you live in Denver and you think about, I got to drive to Longmont, one, it's not a long drive, and two, it's a destination. It's like you don't just get your pie, you get your chicken pot pie, you get your cinnamon roll. I mean, there's so many things. You just stock up while you're there and you'll be good to go.
Stock up and hang out with us all day long. Come in for breakfast. We have free Wi-Fi, great coffee bar. And you can
Yeah.
hang out, and the music genre changes every single day. It really is whatever we feel like. And it literally covers the entire spectrum.
Sounds like
So come hang
in the
out with
kitchen.
us. It's worth the trip, and we will work with you and tell you what travels well, what freezes well. Because there's certain bars that you can take, like the lemon bars, brownies, grasshoppers, and then the Nanaimo bars, they freeze really well. So take those. If you want baguettes, place an order for those. Those freeze. But you have little weird quirks. Bread must be refrigerated, but you never refrigerate the focaccia bread, because then all of a sudden it's like it continues to age and it dries out. Everything gluten-free has little weird
It's weird.
quirks.
It's all weird. Yes. I
And,
agree
and
with
you
that
know,
completely.
it'll change day by day too. We talk about gluten-free baking having the craziest personality.
It does. It's every single one of our pizza crusts, when we form it, has no two pizza crusts formed the same way. It's the weirdest thing. It's not. It's like this one might have a little more dough on this side. This one might have a little more dough there. It might be thinner. Each dough ball has its own personality, which sounds really weird until you do it.
Until you use it. And at first it drives you crazy until you can just relinquish. That is just gluten-free baking.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think that, when you go into baking, and I know this, like I said, is something I never wanted to do. It's like, it just seems so daunting. And you go on don't go on the internet and search gluten-free baking, because it'll scare the crap out of you. You get all these different recipes, and some stuff works and some stuff doesn't work. And it's, I don't know where to tell you to go to learn gluten-free baking. But it's so good. Trial and error. That'd probably be, if you're up to the trial and error.
That is honestly how it is. We had a couple of different cookbooks. Morgan went to culinary school, but you had to retrain everything. And I said, come in and let's figure this out.
Right.
We tried so many things. You try one bite and you're just like, that's just, I'm going to throw that away. That is not even worth the
That's
calories.
not even in the
That's
running,
disgusting.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. What did we do wrong?
Yeah, that was our experience. So I guess that, if you do find a recipe, try it, and it sucks, then don't not try again. if you have the time and energy for that, because it can be exhausting. Rich and I always like to say the best thing that happened to us is we never baked before this. So we had no preconceived ideas. We didn't have to relearn anything. We just had to learn, which is sometimes better than relearning.
Right?
Breaking bad habits,
Absolutely.
things like that. I mean, neither of us ever baked when we could. Well, Rich can eat whatever he wants, so he doesn't have to be gluten free. But he still never baked, and neither did I, and so I didn't know what to expect, and that was a good thing. All I did know is that you put yeast in something and it rises. That's all I think I really know, and I did not know much, and I figured it all.
Hey, that's all right. You know what? I've learned so much. Adding sugar helps it bloom a bit more. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's little things I've learned.
Much, and then you've got this
a beautiful mess.
Yes,
it's a good volcano.
Then you get too much oven spring. It's like I had to learn what oven spring is, and I thought, what, the oven's broken? That we can see the springs? They fell out? No, it's what the bread does. It's all these different things that I got a nice baking education. I know that when we started with pizza, and I worked on our sandwich bread recipe for 2 years. And Rich was like, screw it, we don't need sandwich bread. And I'm like, no, I can never, ever, ever call myself a baker if I can't make a gluten-free sandwich bread. And so it was a badge of honor, I guess, or I had to do it.
But you know what? Hard. There are those recipes, you will work on them for years. Our cinnamon rolls, that is exactly the same situation. We had some terms that were not so friendly to describe our cinnamon roll attempts. And finally, after about 1.5 years, I'd be like, stop. We're just putting it away.
We don't need to make
leaving it.
Nobody really wants them anyways.
Right? And then, of course, the next day, hey, when are you going to do cinnamon rolls? When are you going to do cinnamon rolls? But had to put it away for like 5 months and just ignore it and then go back with a fresh start. And then, bam, we finally nailed it.
Yeah,
we
took
had to forever.
Do that. It did. I had this one recipe I was tweaking and tweaking and tweaking with the sandwich bread, and then it's like that's when we were saying, well, we don't need to make bread, and so then I'm like, screw it, I'm completely revamping the recipe and doing something totally different, and then that process was quicker to success, and so I obviously didn't have the right recipe. The combinations I was using wasn't right because it was a taste and texture, which is important, especially with sandwich bread. But yeah, boy, we've just made it sound like you never want to bake anything yourself at home. we just turned out everybody. No, just
no,
go
it's
buy
fun.
it.
It really is.
Start with something easy. Start with peanut butter cookies. Those are pretty easy because it's peanut butter and whatever some sugar, yeah,
but and some egg.
Okay, that's not hard.
Pretty
mess
much,
that up.
Yeah.
And then you do well with that. You graduate to what, maybe an oatmeal raisin?
You do realize, no, you can't mess that up. Somebody just said challenge accepted.
Oh, yes. Okay, you could mess up the peanut butter cookie, but it still probably would be edible because it's peanut butter.
It's peanut butter.
Right, yeah.
Just take a spoon to it, worst case scenario.
It's just like cinnamon raisin cookies. I mean, you got, not cinnamon, oatmeal raisin cookies. I mean, you got oatmeal, you got raisins, as long as the oatmeal's somewhat cooked, they're still edible. That shows you how much I bake sweets. I'm just like, at what point can I eat it? Yeah, I never baked the cake from scratch. I did. He made me do a chocolate cake once for a restaurant. He's like, this restaurant wants chocolate cake. I'm like, okay. So I actually did make that. The one thing I am very proud of, the one sweet that I make that is amazingly delicious, is I don't make it hardly at all. It is a lemon cardamom pound cake, dairy free. And I was able to use the Earth Balance as my butter, and it still turned out freaking amazing.
Cardamom and lemon, that's an interesting combo.
It is really good. But I don't do it anymore. But that would be my claim to sweet baking fame right there. That's all I got.
And it's fancy too, lemon cardamom.
Well, it was for a restaurant, and they wanted a gluten-free lemon pound cake, and I'm like, okay, I could do a lemon pound cake, but I felt like I had to give it that restaurant-y twist, and so I thought about, cardamom for some reason popped in my head, and I'm like, and I went and I looked up, and I'm like, yeah, they pair well together, and I'd experiment with the amount of cardamom that was in there, but it was delicious. I was surprised how the Earth Balance works so well in place of butter, and I think if I remember correctly, I had to maybe cut back the amount I used that you would normally use with real butter. but it worked out. But that was great because I mean it's kind of a little bit denser pound cake is anyway, so that seemed easier for me. But I don't make those anymore. I have no desire to make those. So what? Obviously, gluten-free has been good to you. You started a business. You found a new path in life.
Yes.
Do you see yourself staying on this path? I know you mentioned you want to get into grocery stores. Do you see more Aime's Love kitchens, bakeries opening up? You can have the one location. Do you want to branch out here to like say Thornton right down the road from us so I can always get whatever I want? Or anything like that?
We're always open to lots of different forms of growth. Right now we're bringing in a new walk-in freezer. It's because our initial goal is to get the cinnamon rolls into the frozen section of different grocery stores. So in hopefully, Lucky's and Whole Foods, and in their freezer section, and then grow that way. If anyone is interested in franchising, we're always open for a conversation. But for me to open another location, that is not my direct goal. We have our location. We're expanding our kitchen to grow wholesale so that people don't always have to drive all the way up to Longmont. They can get our goodies elsewhere, but they will have to come all the way up there for the cakes.
And those are so unique, and that makes sense anyways. And being able to have cinnamon rolls in the freezer, that's good. Freezers are great. Yeah, all of our product is frozen. We have a huge freezer, which we used Edwards Refrigeration, which is up in Longmont. They're very good.
Oh, actually, I've spoken with them. So yay, okay. Good to know. I like a reference.
They put our freezer, and they've done all the freezers and refrigerators in the building that we're in.
Okay.
So can't say enough good things about Edwards.
Yay,
There we go.
all right.
Little plug there.
I will
for that.
make sure I let them know that when I speak to them next.
So, is there anything, do you look back now? I know I say that going gluten-free was the best thing that ever happened to me, because so many good things have come from that. I eat better, I learned more about food. Do you say that, or do you have a different story? Do you still look back and go, yes, it made me feel better, but it was such, it's disrupted my life so much, or are you completely, it's the best thing ever happened to me?
Finding out and knowing, and then actually going gluten-free and seeing the way I feel, life-changing. And I will never go back. Like I can still, if I have any cross-contamination on any travels, I immediately feel it. It affects my energy levels, my stomach, and I get a little rash. And it's like pretty instantaneously, and it's really annoying. And
yes, I know.
So
I'm very sensitive to it.
It's not worth it. So it's been absolutely life-changing. It did. It made me change my career path completely. And I like that. I've loved opening a business. I love the challenge. I love having to figure out all of the fun different pieces. I love meeting new awesome people. We have great customers, great, and other individuals in the industry that are helpful. We're not all out to compete with each other, and we all want to share.
We're a community, definitely the gluten-free community. I want to help each other, and it's not horribly competitive. We all kind of do different things, anyways. And I'm all about helping. There's so many small gluten-free brands out there that are just starting out, and it's our goal to help them as much as we can. And we actually rent out our kitchen now to a couple that they don't need, 7 days a week or 5 days a week. They just need a few shifts, a few hours a week to get their product to sell wherever they're selling. And so we do that, which makes me feel good that, I can help in any way. But we all need to stick together for sure.
And then have some of those customers also help remind people that, gluten-free, there is a misconception that gluten-free is going to be disgusting.
Yes.
We're still finding that. I still have people coming in and they'll just be like, well, I don't even want gluten-free.
Yeah,
We're like, try the food.
It.
You're not even going to be able to tell it's gluten-free. And, some people will try, some people will just leave, once they hear. I remember one time telling a customer that, yes, everything in here is gluten-free. And they're like, no. They're walking through like every item because we have such an extensive menu.
That's shocker that you've got choices where you never have choices. Oh my God, that can be overwhelming.
But they ask like, that's gluten-free, that's gluten-free.
Yes,
and then
everything means everything.
a customer that's sitting at the table who's been in like 8 times overhears the conversation, and they've had different meals, different sweets. They came up to me afterwards and they're like, so wait a minute, everything in here is gluten-free?
Oh God,
like,
they didn't know.
Yes,
either?
and he goes, I had
Oh, my
no
goodness.
idea, because it's really only advertised on the awning outside. Once you're inside, you have to read the ingredient list. I don't label
That's very
every single
smart. That
item
is very
gluten-free.
smart. Yeah.
And in some of the coffee shops that we're in Ampersand, they asked, please don't put gluten-free on it. Just put the name of it and the ingredient list. And it's to get over that conception that
mental
it's going
hump.
to be
Yep.
disgusting, when really it's just good
Yes.
food.
we get that a lot with the pizza crust. Yes. The one thing that if I you probably don't have as much dairy free, so it wouldn't be as hard for me. But I'm so used to no options. Like you go to a restaurant or whatever, I got like 2 or 3 options on the menu. To walk into some place where I have so many options, I don't know, my head might actually explode. I don't know if I could handle it. But being dairy free, that kind of cuts my options down a little bit, so puts it in a more manageable area. So. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for
your
having
pie
me.
was amazing, and
Glad you enjoyed.
I have to get it out of the house so I don't eat it all. I think I'm gonna take it to the staff at the kitchen tomorrow. I kind of told
As you
them,
should.
I've got pumpkin pie. I got 2 pies coming, and Rich and I can't eat it all. And they're like, yeah. So I think they ate. Did you? No, you only brought me something.
No, I gave you guys a couple of
You
goodies
did.
the
That's
last
right. You
time.
did. And they loved all that, so they're excited.
And we love
Excuse me.
playing with our new toy.
What was
The little machine, the
Oh
heat
yeah,
wrap.
we'll
It
have
works
to talk. We'll have to talk how
beautifully.
that's working. So yeah, and if I've got some stuffing, I'll send some stuffing home with you if you want. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody, get up to Longmont, get your pies, and enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Victoria's Gluten-Free GastroGab. Be sure to visit our website at victoriasglutenfreekitchen.com for recipes from today's show and to check out previous episodes. You can also find links to our partner pages or find a retailer or restaurant near you that serves Victoria's Gluten-Free Kitchen products. Thanks for your continued support.